The sun had barely peeked over the pines when I heard a jarring blast of an air horn slicing through the calm of my backyard lake. Laughter followed, then the unmistakable splash of bodies plunging into water and someone yelling about a cooler flipping over. I bolted out of my house in sweatpants and flip-flops, coffee mug still in hand, only to freeze at the sight before me. A glowing party barge bob in the middle of Lake Serenity, my private, spring-fed haven in the heart of Willow Creek, Oregon. Tiki torches lined the shore, their flames flickering against portable speakers blasting pop anthems. A massive inflatable peacock floated nearby, half deflated, with a frantic woman in a sun hat clinging to its neck like she was auditioning for a low-budget disaster flick. A banner strung between two poles read, "Welcome to Monica's Oasis. My lake. My fenced-off, deed-documented, nobody-else-allowed lake." I hadn't signed off on this circus. As I gaped at the chaos, one thought burned through my mind. They want a party? Next time, they'd be swimming with something that bites. My name's Lucas, a data analyst by trade and a birdwatcher by passion. I bought this property in 2018 for one reason: Lake Serenity. Tucked behind my cozy ranch-style home, this crystal-clear lake was my refuge. I'd spent years tending to it, planting native grasses, building a small pier for my canoe, and installing soft solar lights that made it glow like a dream at dusk. It was my sanctuary, untouched by anyone until Monica swept into the neighborhood. Monica, the newly minted president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, was a force of nature. Think hurricane meets motivational speaker. Within weeks, she fined a Garcias for unesthetic garden gnomes, demanded a neighbor repaint their fence to match her color scheme, and even told me my recycling bin was 2 inches too visible. She was the type to wear stilettos while power washing her driveway and ran HOA meetings like she was pitching a Fortune 500 merger. I tried to stay off her radar, figuring if I kept quiet, she'd leave me alone. I was wrong. Trouble started 2 weeks before the barge incident, in late August 2024, when I got back from a work conference. I noticed tire tracks on the private path to my lake, not part of any community trail. I stuck up a no trespassing sign and brushed it off. Days later, I found strangers lounging on my pier, sipping mojitos and posing with my water lilies. When I asked what they were doing, a guy in a fedora grinned and said Monica had invited them to her lake bash. He pointed to a sign, "Monica's Sunset Soiree, Saturday at 4 p.m. Furious, I marched to Monica's house and knocked hard. She answered with a smile that screamed she thought she owned the world. When I told her the lake was private, not HOA property, she waved a binder at me. "Oh, Lucas, you need to read the HOA charter. Clause 12, section shared access to water features in summer." I'd studied that charter when I moved in. No such clause existed. When I asked to see it, she flipped through the binder and couldn't find the page. She shut the door with a cheery, "Join us tomorrow." That night, I dug through my deed, surveys, and HOA bylaws. Everything confirmed the lake was mine, outside HOA control. But I knew Monica wouldn't back down with just papers. I needed a crowd. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up with a stack of documents, maps, deeds, and city zoning records. I laid out the facts. The lake was private, not communal. Monica didn't blink. She claimed a 2020 amendment gave the HOA summer access to all local water features. When I asked for proof, she said it was being digitized. I countered with a city official's email confirming no amendment existed. She just smiled. The room split. Some neighbors backed me, but others liked the idea of a free party spot. Monica had turned my property into her personal playground, and half the neighborhood was ready to cheer her on. Frustrated, I sat by the lake that night, watching a heron glide across the water. Confronting Monica again would be pointless. But nature had its own way of setting boundaries. I'd read about alligator snapping turtles territorial, protected in Oregon, and perfect for reminding people to stay out. The plan formed. I'd reclaim my lake, not with lawsuits or yelling, but with a few well-placed reptiles. The next day, I drove to a wildlife sanctuary outside town and met Dr. Sarah, a biologist with a knack for creative solutions. When I explained Monica's invasion, she laughed. Turtles as security? That's next level. She showed me 4 rescues: Tank, Jaws, Muddy, and Duchess Healthy, legal to relocate and not fauna crowds. Sarah assured me they'd scare off intruders without harming anyone. I signed the permits, and we released the turtles into the lake. They settled in like they'd always belonged, patrolling the depths like silent sentinels. I set up motion-activated cameras to monitor them, grinning as Tank cruised the shallows like a grumpy submarine. Monica gave me my chance the following weekend. I woke to music, splashing, and off-key singing. Peering out, I saw a full-blown part-o'-lantern-lit rafts, inflatable unicorns, and Monica directing it all in a captain's hat. I waited. Then it happened. A guy climbing onto a raft yelped. Something touched me. Another screamed, spotting Jaws' head break the surface. Panic erupted. Tubes flipped, drinks flew, and an inflatable dragon met its end when Duchess chomped its tail. Monica fell off her raft, surfacing with weeds in her hair, shrieking. I sipped my coffee, watching the chaos unfold like a nature documentary. The party cleared out, and Monica stormed over, soaked and furious. "You put monsters in there." I showed her the permits and offered a tour of my wildlife preserve. She stomped off, vowing revenge. She didn't disappoint. 3 days later, 2 conservation officers showed up, tipped off by an anonymous complaint about dangerous animals in a community lake. I showed them the permits, turtle logs, and water tests. They left chuckling, calling the complaint baseless. But Monica escalated. At the next HOA meeting, she projected a photo of Tank, labeling him a predator. I countered with my documents and played the party footage screams, flailing, and Monica's muddy flop. The room laughed, and her push for a dangerous species ban failed. For the first time, she lost ground. But Monica wasn't done. I caught a stranger photographing my lake and found a civil lawsuit filed against me for emotional distress and loss of recreational access. My lawyer, Jamal, called it laughable but warned she was playing dirty. Then I noticed a drone buzzing over the lake. Monica was building a new narrative, maybe, to paint me as a turtle-hoarding weirdo. With Sarah's help, we turned the tables, hosting a wildlife day with school kids and a news crew. Tank starred in a segment titled Willow Creek's Eco Hero, and Monica's lawsuit started to crumble in public opinion. Digging deeper, I found gold. Monica's deck extended 6 feet onto my property, built without permits. Jamal sent her a notice to remove it or face court. She exploded, waving my letter on my lawn, but paled when I pointed to the boundary stakes. Then I discovered her Eventbrite page weekly Monica's lake parties, $30 a ticket, raking in cash on my land. I reported it to the city and IRS. At the next HOA meeting, I projected her listings, reviews, and tax discrepancies. The room turned on her. A no-confidence vote ousted her as president, and my lawyer's demand to demolish her deck was read aloud. She fled the meeting, humiliated. Weeks later, her deck was torn down under court order. Monica watched silently as the concrete crumbled. The HOA rewrote its bylaws, and my lake became the Serenity Ecological Reserve, untouchable by future Monicas. She put her house up for sale, spinning it as close to a local landmark. I didn't care. The turtles and I had won not with rage, but with truth and a well-timed snap. As I sat by the lake, moonlight dancing on the water, I felt peace. Tank glided below, the hero of a war that ended in silence. But questions linger. Was I too harsh, turning turtles into weapons? Should Monica have been given a chance to negotiate? Did the neighborhood betray me by cheering her on at first? What do you think? Did I go too far, or was this justice? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more stories where nature bites back.